Hey, I want to tell you about RacerX's latest promo that they have going on. If you subscribe or renew today, you're going to get some awesome stuff. You're going to get a RacerX trailer sticker and a license plate frame. Obviously, you get the 12 print and digital issues. It's just $30 a year. You get a super sweet license plate frame and obviously the trailer sticker to let everybody know that you rep and read the greatest brand in Moto. Go to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing and subscribe there. Hey, I want to tell you about Moto Brand. Moto Brand was founded during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic when the sport that we live for was taken from so many of us, whether it's cycling or moto, waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that your local track was closed, there would be no Supercross, and for many of us that we couldn't even hit our favorite local riding spot or trail with our crew. We are forced to be reminded of how much the sport of moto and cycling truly means to us. Moto Brand represents a collection of individuals that not only ride, but live to ride. It's what we think of at all times of the day, and sometimes at a detriment to your relationship with your significant other. It's for those that look at their motorcycle or their bicycle as part of their identity. Maybe it's the way that you bond with your son or your daughter or your spouse. Perhaps it's your way to blow off stress of your day job, or even, hey, it is what it is, maybe even it's your marriage. This sport is more than just a sport. For many of us, it's a way of life. It's what keeps us ticking. It's what keeps us living. Moto Brand was created for a purpose, to be more than just a shirt that you can throw on in the morning, but these designs represent who you are and what you stand for. So I encourage you to head over to the motobrand.com, check out our collection. We have a pedal collection and we have a throttle collection, and there are more designs to come that stand for something. So head over to motobrand.com and we'll see you there.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. A little bit of a different setting today. We got a pretty big snowstorm in Morgantown, West Virginia, where we're located at. So we're kind of doing this one remote. One that I'm excited about. I'm a big fan of the folks we have on the line and this brand, HandUp. It's an awesome glove company that I started using a couple years ago. And long story short, through Impact Results, my marketing company, one of our account executives had reached out to this brand about potentially working with them. And one thing led to another, and we were able to get Cody and Jamie, the owners of HandUp Gloves, on the call with us today. And it's something that I'm really excited about, just to kind of hear how this power couple has built one of the coolest, hippest niche product brands in the cycling space. I know a lot of moto enthusiasts are also cycling enthusiasts, so I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. Guys, welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking time to be with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Fan of the show, actually. Been since you guys have kind of reached out, I've been actually listening to a bunch of the episodes.
Awesome.
Just kind of fills my mornings. So I love the mix of like business and bikes and moto talk. So it's really cool.
I appreciate you guys listening. It's been fun doing this show. I don't get paid anything to do this show. I do it for free, and it's completely, I'm cool with it. RacerX has been awesome to me, and it's been a really, really cool opportunity to meet some new people in the space and then also tell their story. So this is definitely a passion project that takes up way more time than it probably should out of my day. But hey, it's been cool. It's opened up a lot of new doors. So So I first started using your all's products in 2019 when Snowshoe, which is the local mountain for us, had a mountain bike World Cup. Obviously, an avid cyclist, I couldn't miss that event. And some of our clients were up there. Cushcore and a few other brands that we were working with that year were going to be at that event. So I went up because it was business and enjoyed the day. And I got to go by your guys' booth and came across some really, really cool quality products and started using them and have been a fan of them, of your guys' product ever since. Let's go back to the beginning and talk about where did this concept of a premium glove brand come from?
Yeah, I think that starts with me just wanted a glove. So first of all, I come from a racing dirt bikes background. So I grew up out in Nevada, actually. We're based in Tennessee now, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But grew up in Nevada, grew up racing dirt bikes in the desert, Southern Nevada, Southern California. Just going to the races, as you know, it's like a big community atmosphere. And so, just had my little group of friends, my dad is as well, like, his group of friends who we all kind of ran around with. Jamie and I went to college in Reno, Nevada, and kind of just going to college, kind of like gave up dirt bikes, didn't even take one with me, ended up just working in a dirt bike shop, racing dirt bikes. And then one thing leads to another. I'm back racing dirt bikes. And that, the kind of race series up there kind of accepted us as like part of their family too. So again, like just this community like brought us together. Yeah. Me and Jamie would go to the dirt bike races. She would pit me. So the 100-mile kind of off-road races, like I would leave the truck with my dirt bike and everything, go warm up, run the start, whatever I needed to do, knowing full well, like Jamie, I'd come into the pit first lap. She would have someone pouring my gas. She had my goggles, water, everything. So, racing dirt bikes was just kind of always is something I always did. And Jamie just kind of always went with me and supported me and stuff. So
I think too, so we are from the West Coast, but when we moved to Chattanooga, we didn't have that community that we had in like Reno and being in the dirt bike scene and all this kind of extracurricular things that we were doing. And so when we moved to Chattanooga, he was really missing that community component. And so for him, he thought of, I want to build something. And I think his goal was to create a community that he could like kind of engorge himself in, like really be involved with. So that's kind of where HandUp kind of played in.
Yeah. And so years later, or post-college, Jamie got into a master's degree out here in the South, and she moved out here. We got married. I came out, followed her essentially. Sold my dirt bikes and stuff at home, moved out here and kind of picked up bicycles. So mountain bike and small niche sport, cyclocross. Yeah. So like off-road, kind of like road bike style, but in a park with like mountain bike-ish tires. So
yeah, it's not, and I have no urge to do that sport. That thing is no joke.
Yeah. And that's kind of fun. It was like a kind of a Moto style bike race. But there we kind of found like that community atmosphere again, like those people just want to have fun and everyone's out there cheering each other on. When I left dirt bikes and stuff and kind of got out of that in Reno, I was wearing like sponsored by like Moose Racing. Everyone probably will know that brand. So I had like a bunch of their gloves and I just wore their gloves, just minimalist gloves or whatever. One day just kind of was running out of gloves to wear at these cyclocross races. They get beat up, muddy, nasty. So just throwing them away and whatever. Looked around the bike market and just saw gloves with like padding and gloves that were like black, blue, red. And I was like, well, Thor, Fox, like all these brands are like printing cool stuff on their gloves. Like, why don't we print cool stuff? And one thing that I always kind of like didn't like about the moto industry and like stuff I wore was just like the big placement of logos like all over stuff. I always thought like well, my thought was if we could just make the same glove, or like not the same glove, but make a similar glove, but the same across all of our models, the same fit, the same style, the same quality.
Yeah.
We could just always have our logo like very small in like this corner or this on the palm, whatever. And then I wanted the designs to like speak to people, and like the things across the palms to kind of be like motivation or something that like connected with people that would make them want to like put up their palms. I mean,
Yeah.
Being in the South, we kind of got caught into like watching football a lot. And so
Exactly.
that was something like wide receivers always have like the football logo, like Atlanta Falcons have like their thing on the palm. So
You
we're
guys
like,
do
that's
stuff with the product that, and maybe other brands do similar things, but I've just missed it for all these years that I've been involved in cycling. I mean, in the summertime, it's really hot. It's really humid. If you can keep your hands from getting really hot some way or another, it keeps your whole body from getting hot. See, one of my favorite products you guys have, it's the glove with the mesh top. And then on the flip side, in the winter, my absolute favorite pair of gloves that I have are the warm weather gloves, because they don't even look like what we got for group rides with my team. And they have full on, they look like snow tubing or skiing gloves.
Yeah.
And then I'm rolling around and they're like, are your hands cold? I'm like, no, they're super warm, but they're really small. They're tight to your hand, just like you'd want a glove to be. Was that those types of things when you guys were developing out your product line beyond just the traditional cool looking glove? Were those, the keep you cool, keep you warm? Where did that idea come from? Or did you get it from somebody else and just improve upon it?
I think our big thing with the summer weight gloves is initially we never wanted to do short finger. Mm-hmm. And so the mesh top was our answer. It's like, okay, you need full protection. And so here's your full protection, but it's going to keep you cool while you're on the road bike or in the middle of summer riding mountain bike. So that was definitely our quest in making that glove, which it definitely served its purpose. And it's one of our best selling gloves for the right reasons. But
the cold weather glove was something that even like shops and distributors we had at the time said we were crazy for even like trying to go down that road, because they thought of the conventional gloves like you're talking about that your buddies wear, like they look like snow mittens basically.
Right. It's hard to ride with that. Like you've got so much, I mean, yeah, you're warm, but you've got so much padding that it's hard to ride.
Yeah.
Everyone thought everything had to be Gore-Tex always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. First we started, with just our normal glove, but we did have these plans to even into the apparel side. We always knew we wanted it to be bigger. We just had to start somewhere, and we had to like convince people that we could make a good product.
Yeah.
And so, it took us 3-4 years, or probably just 3 years before the next model. Excuse me. The next model was the cold weather glove, actually. And it was because of the way cold weather gloves were traditionally made. And I thought we needed just a top protective layer that was water resistant and wind proof, because to me in the winter time, your hands get cold because of like the cold weather and like you riding a bike going through that cold wind. So if that's protected, your body heat should just fill the glove and do the rest. So kind of design the glove around that. There are some crazy people that want to ride in even colder temperatures. So we release like a thicker glove, which we still try to keep on the minimal side. But I mean, when you're riding in cold weather, like you have to have some insulation, which then bulks it up, but it's still minimalist compared to other gloves on the market.
No doubt. So I think, like I'd said before we started recording, I was super, in a good way, surprised that the people behind this company, it's just your average normal person. Like you're just a normal couple. Like in my mind, I'm thinking of, a corporate, hip, cool corporate. But when I found out it was the two of you, I'm like, wow, it makes the story even more intriguing. So how do you guys go from this idea that's this passion project to, if you go to your website and you look, I mean, you're working with some of the biggest names in different disciplines of cycling. Nico Mullally, the U.S. Champion for downhill. He's a World Cup athlete. Phil Guyman, who's now a YouTube celebrity, but he was a high-level pro. Keegan Swinson, a World Cup cross-country mountain bike athlete. I mean, if you go to your guys' site, you can just see all the athletes you're working with. Obviously, if you build a quality product, people are going to want to use that. But how did you guys go from this concept and this idea to working with some of the bigger names in the sport?
It was kind of difficult for a while because our initial goal was to create an affordable product. Mm-hmm. Cody was mountain biking one day and had a brand new jersey on, and it was, a $70 jersey, and it ripped the first day he wore it. And he's like, I spent $70 on this, and it's ruined. Mm-hmm. So for us to build a quality product that was going to last but also be affordable was our main goal. And so in the last couple of years, we've been able to kind of shift that dynamic and show we're affordable, but we're also pretty, quality driven. So
yeah, I think the going from of course, we had to make a good quality product first, and so that was step one. Next thing was just, I think, the community, and that all stemmed from kind of, as I alluded to earlier, growing up, going to these races, being part of these communities was a big thing to us, and we thought that these unique looking gloves in the bike space should kind of give you right away to this unique community that we wanted to build, or we wanted to actually be a part of. And I think just through that, we've attracted some good people.
Yeah.
We get Nico, he's just, 4 or 5 hours, lives 4 or 5 hours from where we're headquartered. He does great things in his community too. So that's just was a good fit from day one. He's continuously building the downhill trails around here and kind of putting the Southeast on the map for the next big downhill kind of destination, which is super cool. Phil Guyman, same thing. He's originally from Atlanta. I know he lives in California now, but just the community we've been able to kind of foster, I think, has brought these people into our fold, which is just I think it speaks more volumes about the community itself. And hopefully all the good people we've kind of surrounded ourselves with have led to having these better people kind of join us, which is awesome.
Well, and I think too, in the cycling industry, it's now it's more open to the idea of smaller companies kind of stepping in and playing bigger roles. So with Phil, we were good friends with somebody else that sponsors him. And so that's kind of how we got that, knock on the door. And then even with the Norco team, we traveled a lot with one of the demo drivers. And he's like, hey, I'm going to send somebody over your way to talk to you. And that was at World Cup. So it's just making these connections with people. Specifically, I think Cody, Troy, and I when we go to events, we try to really talk to people and engage with people and build that community and that trust. And so people refer a lot to us.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game. And I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF apparel. Fly Racing's 2021 line has been improved and expanded, offering the industry's widest range of moto and off-road products. Led by the revolutionary Formula helmet featuring Rheon technology, Fly Racing has taken big steps forward with the all-new Light Pant and Zone Pro goggle. It's going to debut this year at the Monster Energy Supercross by Justin Brayton and the Muck Off Honda team. The Zone Pro goggle delivers premium performance from a brand you know and trust, fearless pursuit, Fly Racing. It's personally the gear that I wear. I've worn it Moto, BMX, mountain bike. I've worn it and repped it for years. In my opinion, it's the best. Be sure to check out their goggle, their helmet, and all their gear. Fly Racing. So when did you guys start to expand from just cycling gloves to what you're doing in golf is really cool. And then you've got snow, and then now you've got apparel. Like, when did it start to step out from what the original idea was to really what it is today?
Yeah, so that was about 3 years into the company. We started in 2014. So about 2017, we expanded into our apparel line, so shorts and jerseys. As Jamie said, the jersey kind of came from me wearing another jersey and it ripping and just being like, well, this is kind of a bummer. Like, you spend all this money and then my curiosity of like, well, why is it always that much? Like, I know how much stuff costs to get made. If we just made like stuff really well, but very simple, like what's the lowest cost we could, get for it, and really just hopefully appeal to more of the masses. I mean, you hear it all the time in the bike industry, like more people on bikes, like let's grow the sport bigger. And it's great, but then you look at the price tag of like a good kind of beginner bike, and you're in the $2,000 range. And they're getting better. People are getting better at that, or companies are. But, it's like inherently just an expensive sport for people to buy. So that's kind of the barrier to entry on top of like gear. So I had the idea when we went into apparel, like, when I was, 7, 8 years old, I rode around the neighborhood in like 501 jeans and a cotton t-shirt. Like, I know fabrics are better now and, we should wear those, but why can't the things we wear look like normal clothes, but kind of act like that at an affordable price as well?
Yeah.
So that was the thought with apparel. And then it, just this last year, we got into golf and snow, via gloves mainly. Right now, I don't see us ever going kind of more into that, but in terms of, outerwear for snow or anything, right now that just seems like too big of a jump for us.
On snow, we had a lot of our ambassadors wearing our winter gloves in like spring ski seasons. And so they're like, why aren't you making a spring ski glove, which is so like niche.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we kind of started off that way just to kind of please them with our front side glove. And then this past year, we kind of like, okay, well, we can do this. Let's actually make like a heavy duty mitten.
Yeah.
So that's what stemmed that
It's just a natural progression. I love I play golf. I'm terrible at it.
Is it everyone?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But just your golf products they're really cool. I mean, it's exactly what you talked about before. There's, you've got the design, you've got something on the palm. So for that, for that cyclist or that moto guy or gal that's into golf too, I can see these being a big hit there as well. Maybe that's what gets people seeing it on the course, and then they say, where are those from? And that's kind of how it all starts. Talk to me about your social media. I've been intrigued by that too. And that was obviously initially why we had reached out, was to form a relationship to potentially work with you on your social. But your guys' organic social media, which is something that we don't do, we're only in the paid ad side. So when we go and we kind of research a client, we always look at the people that are doing it really well or really poorly. And the HandUp Gloves Instagram account, I mean, you guys have 38.7 thousand followers. You get, a lot of interaction on your posts, and it's really clean. It's consistent. It doesn't look like any of these photos, not that anything is wrong with this, but it doesn't look like you guys went out and just snapped a quick photo on your iPhone, which that's great. If you consistently do that, that's great. But when you have 9 really quality photos and then 5 that look like it was taken on a potato, that's where things start to fall apart. Your guys' stuff is it's really consistent and really cool. Do you have somebody in-house that does that? Is that all you? How did you get things rolling social-wise?
Yeah. So at first it was all like me and Jamie, and there are stories. I think we've taken them out, but
they've been archived.
Yeah, they've been archived.
Yeah.
Early Instagram, 2014, Instagram was like a year or two old. But that was part of it too. Like, oh, we can make gloves, and here's this cool platform that you could take pictures and kind of, make them look good. But we, early days, there was some creative marketing tactics, I guess. So we would like Photoshop like our glove on like the Gladiator movie character, like in the Gladiator, just kind of dumb stuff to get people talking or laughing at it.
We didn't have models, so
yeah,
we'd Photoshop gloves.
There you go.
Cody would Photoshop gloves on people.
Yeah. So as of recently, though, yeah, it's all in house. And our first employee, Troy, who Jamie mentioned earlier, he came on as a marketing intern, basically just like we needed another helping set of hands. From everything from shipping to customer service to marketing. And so, yeah, he's just kind of taken that over. And from day one, it was just like, here's what HandUp's about. It's about the community. It's about the people, you know, we're just here to foster that. Like we're in the background. As you kind of said, we seem like a big company. And that was intentional kind of from day one. Like I wanted people to feel like when they bought from us, they had the support of a big company behind them. I want them to feel better about their purchase, not like, oh, this is just going to show up maybe one day. It might be in a brown plastic or a brown paper bag. Like right. I wanted them to get the gloves and think like, holy cow, this must be like a big company. I know I've always been intrigued. One reason why I love your podcast is because I've always been intrigued about stuff like this, of like businesses. You know, there's kind of conglomerates that own a bunch of these big brands in California that we all know of, these individual brands. And if you look deeper and deeper, it's kind of owned by one bigger company. And all through college and stuff, I've just always been interested in that side of the sports, of all sports, even down to like professional football teams and such. So when we started this, I wanted it to be like we were a big company. Now that might hurt us in later because, and it's only been as of recently that we've come out and been like, well, yeah, we look like a big brand, but there's only like 8 of us here, like in the background pushing buttons. And it just so happens that 8 of us are like very talented in what we do. I feel like, you know, Troy running the Instagram page, running our ads and such, like it's him and a part-time person, like,
that's recent. Yeah.
Pushing buttons and it feels like
because it's so much easier to be nimble and move and make quick adjustments that you feel you need to make in your business when you're small. It's when I used to speak at business conferences and people would have these like aspirations of getting massive. And I was like, look, if you got to compare like a speedboat versus a cruise ship, a speedboat can be super nimble. And as a small business like that pays off. I mean, you look at one of, you know, the brand on my hat, Specialized. I mean, they are massive. And we do a lot of work with them. They support me and they support our team, and they're an awesome company. I've ridden their bikes since I was 9 years old. They are very slow because they have to be, because there's so many steps in the process. You look at American Honda, any brand like that. I mean, you're not going to be able to just make a pivot. A brand like you guys, I mean, you kind of use the example. Hey, we had some people say, why don't you make a spring or a lighter snow glove? Yeah, spring ski glove. Well, if you're a massive company like Specialized or Honda, it's going to take you a year and a half to make that decision. Yeah. You guys are like, all right, cool, sounds good. That's why I love the company is super small. You know, we're 12 people and we're all internal. Mm-hmm. We can make adjustments literally in 15 minutes if we need to do that. So I think that's definitely a benefit for you guys.
Well, I think our Instagram too, like we wanted to portray this big company, but then post people's photos because then they felt like they're part of it.
For sure.
And that was our big thing. Like we wanted community. We wanted people to be on the trails and throwing their hands up and being like, oh, I have those same gloves. Like, that's cool. We have the same gloves. Like, let's unite. Yeah. So our Instagram is full of our true customers. And so that's what's kind of neat is like they get to be showcased.
It's, I mean, look, for anybody that is listening to this, you're obviously in the moto space. I can't encourage you enough to go look at obviously look at HandUp's website, but go to, you know, on Instagram, it's at HandUp Gloves, and just see what they're doing, because there are a lot of brands that are small or startup, or even honestly, there's some bigger brands that listen to this show that struggle with what do I post? And then here's the biggest mistake people try to make. The reason I'd said, hey, my company doesn't do organic social media, the daily posting, is because I can't come in and do what you guys internally can do, because I don't have my finger on the pulse of your customer that tagged you in a post or a response you got from a satisfied customer. You guys are there, you're in the trenches. Organic social media should and should be done internally, because it's even the best agencies in the world. It's going to be hard to replace that. Paid ads, that's something you can replace. But you guys are just a really good example of a company that is small, that doesn't use that BS excuse of we're small, we don't have time. You've completely killed it on the organic social media front, and I want people to go check that out. Why? So you're a moto enthusiast at heart. How come you haven't ventured yet into the moto space as far as gloves? You have other companies like, Def Family and Saints of Speed and other brands that are in that space. Is that why it's just more of a crowded market, or what's the reason behind that?
Yeah. My brother still lives out in Arizona, still races like the Work Series and kind of those off-road series out on the West Coast. We give him gloves or whatever, but yeah, it's just it's a saturated market. I mean, and on top of these, like Def kind of is like the only ones I think I know about Saints of Speed now, but Deft is the ones like kind of broke into that first and successfully. I think still now a lot of people want to wear their kit. Like if you're wearing Fox, you have down to Fox gloves, TLD, it's like a full on thing. So I think trying to get in that market, one, we have the hurdle of everyone else in that market, including these well-known brands. And then also we have like the hurdle of people wanting to wear
head to toe.
Consistent.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a head to toe sport. I feel like in cycling, people do the opposite of what moto enthusiasts would do on a dirt bike. They mix and match things. And one of the reasons I love your guys' product is because I have Fly shorts, I have Troy Lee shorts, but the moto person in me, like I cannot wear my Troy Lee shorts with my Fly gloves. It drives me freaking crazy. And I feel like everybody's staring at me. So HandUp, that's what you guys specialize in, right? So I can wear whatever I want. I can mix and match my top, my bottom, my helmet, and I can throw a set of your gloves on and it fits. I think that is pretty unique to the cycling space, that you don't get that in moto. For sure.
Yeah. So we haven't figured out how to overcome that. And I don't think we have plans to. I mean, Moto, there's a bunch of gear companies just killing it.
Well, like when we started HandUp, it was because there was something missing.
Sure.
And so we don't ever want to go into
a space or
a sport that like doesn't have something actually missing.
Yeah.
Because then we're just going to be another brand, and that doesn't work for us because we have to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Cool. Again, I love your guys' story. I mean, there's always this part of me that I love what I do. We're in the client services business, and a part of me, I'm always just being an entrepreneur. My brain's always kind of churning as far as like, I want a product in the sport that I love that I know how to market. I know how to create a brand. I know how to drive sales, but I've never had that thing where I'm like, I've found a reason to fix something in a sport like you guys have. So I have a ton of respect for what you guys have done. I'm envious of it because I'd love to be able to have my thing beyond a marketing company. And I love my company, but it is what it is. Like it must be cool to put your own thing on and be like, man, this is pretty sweet. This is my, have you ever had that encounter to where somebody's like, hey, sweet gloves. And then you're just kind of like, yeah, it's funny. They have no idea that I own the company.
Yeah.
We didn't tell anyone for years. So we would go to events and sell gloves and they're like, oh, you guys work for the company? We're like, yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But like seeing like our first mountain bike race, or one of the mountain bike races I volunteered at while Cody was racing, like seeing our first pair of gloves on somebody.
That's got to be
like eye-opening. I was like, holy smokes, like there's a person in top 10 that has our gloves and I don't know who it is.
It's too cool.
Someone that's not our friend bought our gloves, and now they're in the top 10 of this race. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening.
That's cool. I think those are some of the absolute coolest stories. Just creating something from nothing and then seeing it in the wild, like it. Yeah, it's super rad.
It's very humbling too, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
and
sure.
we got like you said, like I feel like we're just really fortunate to have stumbled onto this, to have kind of moved out here, found a new community that accepted us, that ultimately led me to stumble upon like, okay, gloves might be something I could change in this community.
Yeah.
So, it's just for us, I think it was just luck.
Hey man, you need that sometimes for sure.
And a nice tax return.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's how we started.
Little story of the beginning of HandUp was basically our whole tax return paid for the first run of gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no investors.
Yeah.
No. We've never done it. So we've just
kept leapfrogging it into more and more inventory. So
that's cool. It can be done. Just reinvest back in. I mean, my partner and I started this company. He put $500 in. I put $500 in, and I mean, we grew it to it's a 7-figure business now. And it's funny looking back and being like, yeah, we've never taken a loan out. Like sometimes you have to, and that's totally fine. But it is really cool when you hear other stories like your guys, to where you're like, I got this tax return. I can go buy I can go finish my basement, or I can dump it into something that's potentially going to set me up for the future. So, well, guys, that's awesome. I hope that we can get together and ride one day. Are you guys going to be at Snowshoe for the World Cup this year? As long as it happens, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, we'll be up there. We're already booked a place and ready.
Yeah.
So
I will for sure be by, and that'll probably be the first time we get to meet. But hopefully we can get out and do some riding. And I really appreciate you guys coming on. Super cool story. It's a super rad brand, and it's an awesome product. And I've been looking as we've been talking. I'm just kind of browsing through your site, getting ideas of things to ask you guys, and I found like 4 products I'm going to buy. So it's HandUpGloves.com. If anybody hasn't checked it out, please do. It's a super rad company. And then HandUp Gloves on Instagram as well, right? Is that the handle?
Yep, correct.
Awesome. Guys, I appreciate you being on the show today, and look forward to catching up with you here soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Luke.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's ThinkImpact.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.